Welcome to week 4 module. Week 4, we will discuss chapter 3, law enforcement agencies and their organizations. Okay, chapter 3 deals with law enforcement agencies and their organizations. I know most of the time we think about law enforcement agencies, we think about probably the local agency that we see, our police departments, our county sheriffs, because those are most visible. Those are what I call the boots on the ground. But there are several entities to law enforcement agencies. There are different levels of agencies. As a matter of fact, your text states that we actually have roughly about 20,000 law enforcement agencies in the United States. And they are from all levels of government, the federal, the state, and the local. So just think about some federal agents. You have the FBI, CIA, Secret Service. You have what else is it? The ATF, U.S. Marshals. All those will be federal agencies. State agencies will be your state police, your state parks, park rangers, and officers like that. The municipal or local level would be your police departments, your police officers, your county sheriffs, and everyone that falls under that umbrella. So there you have your three levels. And they are divided by jurisdiction. So ask yourself, who has the greatest amount of jurisdiction? Of course, that will be federal. The federal government would have jurisdiction over your state and your municipal government. So it works like this. You have your local city police, which handles the areas within the city, the county government, which handles the county, which most counties are within a city. So that means the county sheriff will have jurisdiction over the police. Then you have your state officials; they will have jurisdiction over the county, and then federally would be the federal agents will be the highest level of authority in policing. So, speaking of the different law enforcement agencies in America, I mentioned some of them, but we have also ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. They've been in the news a lot lately. We have the CBP, Customs and Border Protection, Homeland Security. All of them will fall under that umbrella. The U.S. Marshals, FBI, and I mentioned a lot of that. I did mention the DEA. They're another federal agency. Locally, the municipal departments, of course, and the sheriff departments. So next we want to know, how do these law enforcement agencies differ from other agencies? Most of these law enforcement agencies, thanks to we adopted our way of law enforcement from Britain or London. Most of the agencies operate from a quasi-military style form of policing, which means that it's bureaucratic. Sir Robert Peel, he organized the London Metropolitan Police, and he has what they call the Pillions. And these are 9 principles that distinguish how police or law enforcement officers should operate. And he basically, in a nutshell, wanted them to be professional organizations that were educated, that carried themselves in a manner that was becoming of the community, to not disgrace them. And he is responsible for the professionalism that you see within law enforcement agencies today. So they have a quasi-military style. It's bureaucratic, meaning kind of like how the military set up. So you're going to have the chief or the sheriff up top, and it comes on down, it trickles down. So the lead person or the head person over every organization is ultimately responsible for everything that organization does. That's why when you see something major happens, you'll see the chief of police be the first person to resign. So that's that quality, that chain. Quasi military or chain of command that they have to follow, and they strictly believe in that chain of command. You also have your sworn personnel, your non-sworn personnel. What's some examples of a non-sworn personnel? Think about your dispatchers. Think about your clerks that take the money up for the courts services. Think about what's non-sworn. Oh, the people that do payroll, maybe the mechanics in the maintenance shop. All of those will be non-sworn. And lastly, this chapter will discuss private policing. What's the difference in private and public policing? Of course, we know public works for the public, but private policing generally falls under the umbrella of you being hired on by a client that has a special interest. So you may see people that hire security for a club, or people that hire security to monitor their neighborhoods, neighborhood watch programs for security. You may see off-duty officers. A lot of them handle or do the private policing as well at football games or at a bowling alley or something like that. That is the private officer is going to have his client's best interest at heart, and the public police are going to have our best interest at heart. So that's going to wrap up chapter 3. Make sure that you read the chapter. It has a lot of information in there about the organization of law enforcement agencies. Lastly, take a look at these pictures. I just want to give honor to the agencies, some of the agencies that represent Mississippi. You see your Highway Patrol. We have a couple of gentlemen from different agencies with K9. K9s also are considered police officers. As a matter of fact, you can get just as much time or more for injuring a K9 as you can a police officer. So let's dive into the rest of our module. Make sure that you complete your discussion, and if you have any questions, I'm here for you. Have a good week.